The True Birth of Messiah Yeshua, a Historical and Scriptural Investigation. Let's challenge our understanding and deepen our faith together as we enter into a fascinating and crucial topic with you today: the true birth date of Messiah Yeshua. While many celebrate his birth on December 25th, we will explore the historical and scriptural evidence that suggests a different timeline. In historical context, firstly, it's important to acknowledge that the choice of December 25th coincides with the Roman festival of Saturnalia and the winter solstice. This date was later adopted by early Christians to celebrate the birth of Yeshua. However, historical records and practices suggest that December the 25th of May not be the actual birth date of Messiah Yeshua. Let's turn to the scriptures. In Luke chapter 2, 8-14, we read about shepherds keeping watch over their flocks by night. Given the cold weather in winter, it's unlikely that shepherds would be out in the fields during this time. This suggests a different season for his birth, possibly spring or fall. We can also look at the priestly divisions described in Luke chapter 1, 5-9. Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist, belonged to the division of Abijah. By calculating the timing of Zechariah's service in the temple and the subsequent conception of John, we can estimate Elishava's pregnancy. When Gabriel visits Miriam 6 months into Elishava's pregnancy, it provides us with clues about the timing of Yeshua's birth. Based on these calculations, a plausible alternative is that Yeshua was born in the spring around Nisan or in the fall around Tishrei. These dates align with key Jewish festivals, such as Passover in Nisan and the Feast of Tabernacles in Tishrei, both of which carry significant prophetic implications for the birth of the Messiah. In Luke chapter 1, 5, Zechariah is identified as belonging to the division of Abijah. This division is one of the 24 priestly divisions established by King David to manage the responsibilities of temple service in an organized manner. Each division served in the temple for a week, twice a year, ensuring the smooth operation of temple activities. The division of Abijah, along with the other divisions, had critical roles that included offering sacrifices, burning incense, and performing other sacred duties essential for the worship and spiritual life of the Israelites. This rotational system allowed for an equitable distribution of priestly duties among all the priests and ensured that the temple functions were continuously upheld, supporting the religious observance and practices of the Jewish people. Both Luke chapter 1, 5-9 and 1 Chronicles chapter 24, 7-18 offer valuable insights into the role and organization of the priesthood in Jewish religious practice, connecting the Old Testament's historical framework with the New Testament's narrative. In Luke chapter 1, 5-9, we are introduced to Zechariah, a priest of the division of Abijah. This passage provides a personal glimpse into his life, highlighting his and his wife Elishava's piety and righteousness. Zechariah's division, the 8th in the order established by King David, underscores the continuity of priestly traditions and duties. The focus here is on Zechariah's faithful service and his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to burn incense in the temple, a significant and honored task determined by lot. In Luke chapter 1, 5, Zechariah is identified as belonging to the division of Abijah. This division is one of the 24 priestly divisions established by King David to manage the responsibilities of temple service in an organized manner. Each division served in the temple for a week, twice a year, ensuring the smooth operation of temple activities. The division of Abijah, along with the other divisions, had critical roles that included offering sacrifices, burning incense, and performing other sacred duties essential for the worship and spiritual life of the Israelites. This rotational system allowed for an equitable distribution of priestly duties among all the priests and ensured that the temple functions were continuously upheld, supporting the religious observance and practices of the Jewish people. Both Luke chapter 1, 5-9 and 1 Chronicles chapter 24, 7-18 offer valuable insights into the role and organization of the priesthood in Jewish religious practice, connecting the Old Testament's historical framework with the New Testament's narrative. In Luke chapter 1, 5-9, we are introduced to Zechariah, a priest of the division of Abijah. This passage provides a personal glimpse into his life, highlighting his and his wife Elishava's piety and righteousness. Zechariah's division, the 8th in the order established by King David, underscores the continuity of priestly traditions and duties. The focus here is on Zechariah's faithful service and his once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to burn incense in the temple, a significant and honored task determined by lot. 1 Chronicles chapter 24, 7-18, on the other hand, presents a broader organizational structure of the priesthood. It details the creation of 24 divisions of priests by King David, including the division of Abijah. This system ensured an orderly and efficient rotation of priestly duties, allowing for consistent temple service throughout the year. Each division, including Abijah's, would serve twice a year, maintaining the sacred rituals and responsibilities crucial to Jewish worship. When comparing the two passages, the personal narrative of Luke chapter 1, 5-9 provides a specific instance of how the divisions functioned in practice, highlighting individual piety and divine encounters. In contrast, 1 Chronicles chapter 24, 7-18 offers a foundational understanding of the priestly system's establishment, emphasizing the organized and communal nature of temple service. Together, these passages illustrate the seamless integration of personal devotion and structured religious practice within the Jewish faith. Each of the 24 priestly divisions, including the division of Abijah, served in the temple for 1 week, twice a year. This rotational schedule ensured that all divisions had equal opportunities to perform their duties and that the temple service was continuous and well organized throughout the year. The division system, established by King David, allowed the priests to fulfill their sacred responsibilities without overburdening any single group, maintaining the smooth operation of the temple's religious activities. The Jewish calendar indeed begins with the month of Nisan, and the priestly divisions would start their service from the first week of Nisan. Each division served for 1 week, and the cycle would repeat twice a year. Given that Zechariah belonged to the division of Abijah, which is the 8th division, here's how we can calculate his service week. First service. The first division served in the first week of Nisan. The second division served in the second week, and so on. The 8th division of Abijah would serve in the 8th week, which would fall roughly in the second month of the Jewish calendar, Iyar, late April to early May. Second service. Since there are 24 divisions, the cycle repeats, and each division serves again in the second half of the year. Thus, the second service of the division of Abijah would occur approximately 24 weeks later, placing it around Heshvan, late October to early November. So, Zechariah's division would serve in the 8th week of the Jewish year, which would be in the month of Iyar, and then again roughly 24 weeks later in the month of Heshvan. If we consider that Zechariah served during the last week of Iyar, Elisha's pregnancy likely began shortly after his service ended. This would place the beginning of her pregnancy in late Iyar or early Sivan, late May to early June. The angel Gabriel announced to Zechariah that Elisheva would conceive and bear a son, which we can reasonably assume happened soon after his temple service concluded. Given this timing, Elisheva's pregnancy would be in its 6th month by the time the angel Gabriel visited Miriam. This visit is described in Luke chapter 1, 26, which states, "In the 6th month of Elisheva's pregnancy." Therefore, this pivotal event of the Annunciation, where Gabriel tells Miriam she will conceive Yeshua, would occur around late Kislev or early Tevet, December to January. Following this timeline, Yeshua's conception would have taken place 6 months after Elisheva conceived John the Baptist. Thus, if Elisheva's pregnancy began around late May to early June, 6 months later would place Miriam's conception around late November to early December. This aligns with the traditional celebration of the Annunciation on March 25th, which is 9 months before the birth of Yeshua celebrated on December 25th. These calculations highlight the close chronological connection between the births of John the Baptist and Yeshua. The intertwined timelines underscore the divine planning and fulfillment of prophecy in the Christian narrative, showcasing the significant roles that both Yochanan and Yeshua would play in the unfolding of salvation history. First, we start with Zechariah's temple service. As a priest in the division of Abijah, Zechariah served in the temple during the 8th week of the Jewish calendar, which falls around late Iyar, May. After his service, he returned home, and shortly thereafter, Elisheva conceived. This places the beginning of Elisheva's pregnancy around late May to early June. 6 months into Elisheva's pregnancy, the angel Gabriel visited Miriam to announce that she would conceive Yeshua. This event is known as the Annunciation. If Elisheva's pregnancy began in late May or early June, 6 months later would place the Annunciation around Kislev, late November to early December. Therefore, Miriam's conception of Yeshua would occur around Tevet, late January and early February. Elisheva's full-term pregnancy would result in the birth of John the Baptist around 9 months from late May to early June, which would be approximately late February to early March. This aligns with the timeline suggested by the text and historical context. Elisheva should conceived in June, Sivan. So you calculate to 6 months from Tammuz you ended up in Kislev. This marks Yeshua, conception. Yeshua was conceived in Miriam's womb in Tevet. This timing corresponds with several historical and theological interpretations that suggest Yeshua was likely born in the early fall, possibly during the Jewish festival of Sukkot. These calculations based on the accounts in Luke chapter 1 and 1 Chronicles chapter 24 provide a fascinating glimpse into the timeline of these significant events. It highlights how interconnected and divinely orchestrated the births of John the Baptist and Yeshua were, setting the stage for their pivotal roles in the unfolding narrative of salvation. Miriam's conception in Tevet, December to January. Starting the count from Shvat, January to February. Given that a typical pregnancy lasts about 9 months, if we start counting from Shvat, the months would be Shvat, January to February, Adar, February to March, Nisan, March to April, Iyar, April to May, Sivan, May to June, Tammuz, June to July, Avinu, July to August, Elul, August to September, Tishrei, September to October. So, counting from Shvat, Miriam would end up giving birth around Tishrei, September to October. This timing traditionally fits with the idea that Yeshua was born around the Jewish festival of Sukkot, which occurs in Tishrei. Luke chapter 2, 4-7. So Yosef, because he was a descendant of David, went up from the town of Nazareth in the Galil to the town of David, called Beit Lechem, in Yehuda, to be registered, with Miriam, to whom he was engaged, and who was pregnant. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth. And she gave birth to her first child, a son. She wrapped him in cloth and laid him down in a feeding trough, because there was no space for them in the living quarters. A feeding trough, also known as a manger, is a container or receptacle used to hold food for livestock. It's typically made of wood, metal, or stone and is designed to allow animals easy access to their feed. Feeding troughs are commonly used on farms and in stables to provide a centralized location for feeding animals like cows, horses, sheep, and goats. Interestingly, the manger is also famously mentioned in the Nativity story in the Bible, where baby Yeshua, Jesus, is said to have been laid in a manger. The inns were consistently full during the month of Tishri due to its significance in the Jewish calendar. This month hosts several major Jewish holidays, including Rosh Hashanah, Jewish New Year, Yom Kippur, Day of Atonement, Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles, and Simchat Torah. These holidays draw many people to Jerusalem for religious observances, resulting in a high demand for accommodations. In the Jewish calendar, the busiest months for guest houses, inns, and lodges in Judea are typically Tishrei and Sivan. Starting from Elul last week, all the inns and guest houses are full. Tishrei, usually September to October, includes important holidays such as Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, which attract many visitors to the region. Sivan, May to June, is busy due to the celebration of Shavuot, which also draws many people to Judea. These months see a significant increase in tourism and religious pilgrims, leading to higher occupancy rates in accommodations. The account of the shepherds and the birth of Jesus, Yeshua, in the Gospel of Luke indeed describes shepherds watching over their flocks by night when the angels appeared to announce Jesus' birth. This scene has raised questions about the season of Jesus' birth because shepherds typically wouldn't be out in the fields during the cold winter months. Seasonal interpretation. Some scholars suggest that the event might have taken place in a warmer season, such as spring or early autumn, when shepherds would still be out in the fields. This aligns with the practice of keeping sheep outdoors during milder weather. While the traditional date of December 25th for Christmas suggests a wintertime birth, many scholars believe that Yeshua was likely born in a different season. The exact timing remains uncertain, but the shepherd's presence in the fields suggests it was likely during a milder season. In conclusion, historical and scriptural evidence provides a compelling case that December 25th is not the accurate birth date of Messiah Yeshua. I encourage you to reflect on these findings and consider the broader implications of understanding the true timeline of his birth. The choice of December 25th as the date to celebrate Christmas was made by early church officials in the 4th century CE. They likely selected this date to align with existing pagan festivals, such as Saturnalia and the celebration of Sol Invictus, which helped in integrating the celebration of Jesus' birth into the cultural practices of the time. Saturnalia was an ancient Roman festival honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture and time. Celebrated from December 17th to 23rd, it was marked by feasting and joy, lavish meals, music, dancing, and general merriment. Role reversal. Social norms were inverted. Slaves dined with their masters, and everyone joined the festivities. Gift giving. People exchanged simple gifts like candles, pottery, and nuts. Decorations. Homes were adorned with greenery and festive decor. Public sacrifice. The festival kicked off with a public sacrifice at the Temple of Saturn. Saturnalia's joyful customs significantly influenced later traditions, including some associated with Christmas. Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, or the birthday of the invincible sun, was a significant Roman festival celebrated on December 25th. This day honored Sol Invictus, the sun god, who symbolized the unconquered sun, introduced by Emperor Aurelian in 274 CE as part of his efforts to revive and promote the worship of Sol Invictus. The festival was marked by public sacrifices, feasting, and gift-giving. The celebrations reflected the importance of the sun in Roman culture, embodying the hope and renewal that the sun represented during the winter solstice, a time when daylight began to increase. The choice of December 25th for Christmas was influenced by the desire to supplant pagan festivals with Christian celebrations. By aligning the birth of Jesus or Yeshua with Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, early Christians could more easily integrate their new faith into existing cultural practices. This strategic adaptation allowed for a smoother transition and greater acceptance of Christianity within the Roman Empire. The festival's customs, such as feasting and gift-giving, were absorbed and transformed into the traditions associated with Christmas today, illustrating the blend of ancient practices and the evolving nature of cultural celebrations. Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, or the birthday of the invincible sun, was a Roman festival celebrated on December 25th to honor Sol Invictus, the sun god. Emperor Aurelian introduced this festival in 274 CE to promote the worship of Sol Invictus. The celebrations included public sacrifices, feasting, and gift-giving, symbolizing the hope and renewal brought by the sun's return during the winter solstice. To facilitate the spread of Christianity, early Christians chose December 25th for Christmas to replace pagan festivals like Dies Natalis Solis Invicti. Aligning Yeshua's birth with this significant pagan holiday made it easier for people to transition to Christianity, integrating new religious practices into existing cultural traditions within the Roman Empire. The customs of Saturnalia, such as feasting and gift-giving, were incorporated into Christmas traditions. This blending of ancient practices with new religious significance demonstrates how cultural celebrations can evolve over time, reflecting a rich history of adaptation and integration. Hanukkah is a Jewish festival commemorating the recovery of Jerusalem and subsequent rededication of the Second Temple at the beginning of the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire in the 2nd century BCE. It is also known as the Festival of Lights. The Hanukkah period lasts for 8 days and is celebrated from the 25th day of Kislev to the 2nd day of Tevet. The first night of Hanukkah, or Hanukkah, starts with special blessings at sunset the day before the 25th of Kislev. Hanukkah gets tossed in as an alternative holiday in America, with traditions that seem, on the surface, to closely mirror those surrounding Christmas. But many religious scholars bemoan that Hanukkah, a holiday meant to celebrate a victory over forced assimilation, is mistakenly viewed as Jewish Christmas. Normally it occurs between late November and December, although the exact dates change every year. This is because Hanukkah is always on the 25th day of Kislev in the Hebrew calendar. This is a lunisolar calendar, which means that unlike the Gregorian calendar, the Hebrew calendar is based on both the sun and the moon. The 8-day Jewish celebration known as Hanukkah or Hanukkah commemorates the rededication during the 2nd century BC of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, where according to legend Jews had risen up against their Greek-Syrian oppressors in the Maccabean revolt. Hanukkah means dedication in Hebrew. The 8-day holiday celebrates the rededication of the Temple of Jerusalem after it was retaken by the Maccabees, a group of Jewish warriors, from the Greeks in the 2nd century BCE, as explained by Tablet magazine. The traditional Hanukkah candle lighting service consists of saying all 3 blessings on the first night, and only the first and second blessings for the 7 nights to follow. Transliteration. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzavanu ladlik ner shel Hanukkah. The defining characteristic of a Hanukkah menorah is 8 lights in a row, with a 9th lamp off to the side or above, separated from the other 8. The ninth lamp is called a shamash, a servitor, and it symbolically differentiates the 8 holy flames from other, mundane light sources. Is Hanukkah an alternative to Christmas? Hanukkah gets tossed in as an alternative holiday in America, with traditions that seem, on the surface, to closely mirror those surrounding Christmas. But many religious scholars bemoan that Hanukkah, a holiday meant to celebrate a victory over forced assimilation, is mistakenly viewed as Jewish Christmas. Hanukkah is an 8-day Jewish holiday that commemorates the rededication of the Holy Temple, the Second Temple, in Jerusalem at the time of the Maccabean Revolt of the 2nd century BCE. The Second Temple was built under Cyrus the Great starting in 538 BC and was desecrated by Antiochus IV Epiphanes in 167 BCE. The Hasmonean Revolt led by Judas Maccabeus cleansed and rededicated the temple, which is celebrated in the annual festival of Hanukkah.
This is Pastor Israel Ben Cannon. I am available on Skype. You can see the link in the description box for the Skype voice or video call. I am prepared to meet you face to face if you feel challenged and wanted to meet me.